You are welcome at my table. You are welcome in my home. You are free to share your story. You are not alone. One more time. You are welcome at my table. You are welcome in my home. You are free to share your story. You are not alone. Oh, you are not alone. Thank you. Happy Father's Day.
I ran into an ex-girlfriend a couple weeks ago, and I know, you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's an exciting experience, sometimes it's very awkward experience, and I could tell this was going to be both right away. And I was hanging out in this club that I spend way too much time in, and I blame that on the fact that I'm a part owner. So I'm a silent partner though, so I don't have to be there really to do anything. But I like to just go in and see what happens when I'm not there. I share that with some hotshot supermodel psycho that is a silent partner also, because she's famous and she doesn't want anyone to know that she owns it. I'm a silent partner because no one knows who I am. And that's just fine with me, but I do leverage that position once in a while, and a couple nights a month, I'll sit in with the band. And I like to think it's because I'm a great piano player, but it may be just that because I pay the band, I don't know. But I do, and so I'm headed up to the stage that night, and I see her out of the corner of my eye like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I look over, and I'm like, is that who I think it is? And yeah, it is, and I just like pretend like I didn't see. And I go up, and she's sitting pretty close to the stage, and I have this whole setup of love songs to sing, and I'm like, well, we can't do that, so I throw the whole band off, and we end up doing this rock and roll set of Jerry Lee Lewis stuff, and Elton John stuff, Billy Joel kind of stuff. And so I get done, and it always goes really well because good, bad, or ugly, at some point in the set, I will shout out, free drinks for everybody, which sounds like a grand and gracious gesture. But, you know, since I'm half owner, I get all my drinks half price. So it's not that big a deal. Well, I'm coming back down, and everybody's excited, and she runs up to me, and she says, hello, Mr. Fabulous, because that's what she calls me. And I say, hey. And she said, you're so awesome up there. That is just so amazing. And she leans in to give me a kiss. And I said, hold it right there, Brooke Shields. You know I'm married. And then she starts to cry, and she gets all upset. And why didn't you marry me? Whatever happened to us? And I'm just like, how am I going to get out of this? And I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I turn. And it's Reverend Donald. And he's holding a free drink in one hand, and he's holding a microphone in another, and he says, how are you using your imagination? Extravagantly. So he introduces us to this term that is imaginal hygiene. Hygiene. He says, you know, it's not always good to use your imagination in whatever helter-skelter manner. There's better ways to use your imagination. And by controlling that and conditioning that, you can take and use the power of the universe and bring it into your life. And if you only live in imagination, well, then you're confined to an imaginary world. And I said, yeah, I see that. But this is the only world where I can play piano. And so then he talks about another new word, which was the Imagineering. And how you take that refined imagination and you combine it with intention and spiritual practice, and you use that instead of an escape from daily life as a tool to overcome the challenges and create your life. And then he says, why don't you come and talk about what is really possible? And I had not imagined an answer for that, so here I am. And what he talked about the first week was imagination up here, the power of imagination. He brought it down with imagineering to the power of imagination out here. And now we're going to go to the power of possibility, what is really possible. And we're going to talk about the micro-universe in here. And I'm going to talk specifically about the one between my ears. If it applies to you and yours, great. And if not, feel free to laugh at me some more. To get into this, it can be kind of confusing, and there's a few words we need to go over really quick because they're confusing, number one, and we are automatically triggered on how to use these words. The first one is impossible, and that is anything that cannot be done. The next one is possible, that's anything that can be done. Then there's possibility, and that's something that could happen. And then there's possibly, which may not probably happen. And all those words come into play. Now, when we look at possibility and we say, well, everything is possible in a universe of infinite possibility, everything is possible, but we're in the micro-universe now. And so, in the micro-universe, the impossible is what I cannot do. And I cannot do this because I don't know how, because I'm afraid, or because my belief system prevents me from trying and looking at it. The possible is something that I can do very easily. Possibility is something I might do, could happen, might work. And then possibly means, yeah, no, that's probably not going to happen. Because I don't have the intention behind that to make that real thing. So in the case of playing the piano, I can't play the piano. That is impossible. It's not impossible for everybody, but it is impossible for me. Do I want to play the piano? I love playing the piano. And so that would be a great thing for me. Possibility is I could take lessons, and I could. Will I take lessons? Possibly. Possibly I will. Seems like there should be something here. Let's see, I'd like to say I lost my train of thought, but I'm not sure I had one. Free drinks for everybody. This would be a great time to look at my notes, if I had some. And
You were going to probably learn the piano.
possibly, yeah. There we go. And that's a good example. This is a whole good example. Thank you very much. Because is it possible that I could read notes? Yes. Is it possible that I could write notes? Yes. Is it possible that I can read notes that I haven't written? No. That's impossible. Is there a possibility I'll bring some next time? Good. Will there be a next time? Possibly. I just can't. Sorry, I can't. That's what I'm seeing. I'm sorry. It's not I can't. It's not I can't. It's I can't. I can't. Immanuel Kant was a person who devoted his life to writing quotes so that people giving talks could sound smart. And what he said was that imagination, no, it's happiness. Happiness is not the ideal of reason, but of imagination. That happiness is the fruit of imagination, and that happiness occurs when imagination overpowers the intellect. And I think that is great super news, because I have more imagination than intellect. So it should work on my side. And yet, when we look around, all of us have an imagination, but not all of us are happy. So maybe there is something to this imagination as a tool, and how we use it is important to how it affects us and our happiness. And instead of escaping from life's problems, we have to look at what we're doing. To do this, we have to train our subconscious mind. Reverend Donald explained that when it gets to be a battle between the will and the subconscious or the imagination, imagination will always win if it's programmed properly. Because that is, the subconscious does all our creation. It's where our natural default setting is. So if we are not getting the results we want, it's simply because we are programmed in our thoughts of how and what we do. We have to create a new future and a new person. And that is hard to do because our imagination works on what we believe. Is this better? And what we believe and what we know and what we have seen. We call it imagination, and we try to imagine the things that we haven't seen before. And we can't do that. That is not possible. There's only a couple people who don't believe that. But let's do a little exercise and imagine a color that you've never seen before. It's not up here. The imagination is what we use. We have two, I call them monitors in our mind. It's beautiful. I forgot my phone today. But I have a phone. This is a true story. And it does a lot of things, and it does a lot of things that I have not asked of it yet. And it's kind of like me, because I can do a lot of things that I haven't done yet and don't know the potential of. And that phone has a camera. Among all the things that it has a camera, and the camera is very good, although it is slightly limited, like I am slightly limited. The camera works a lot like my eyes, and these are my security cameras that show me what's happening on and around me and in my world, and that shows up on one monitor in my mind. And I'm like a security guard at a security desk, and I can see what's happening outside. And then on my other monitor here, I'm playing Netflix or whatever happened. And I usually just, when I think I'm thinking or I think I'm imagining things, what I'm doing is replaying videos from my mind. And what I find is that as I approach and try to reprogram myself with my imagination so that I get different results, I'm using the wrong information. And like my phone can take a picture of anything but one, itself. And my eyes are the same way. I can see everything that's going on here now, except me. And so when I bring this up later, I will see all of you and I will relive that experience, but I won't see me, because that's not in my programming, it's not in my memory. When I play the keyboard at the nightclub and I'm pounding on the keys, I see the keys on the piano. I don't see me playing the piano. And so as we go about creating our life, a lot of times we go about life feeling like we haven't started living yet. We're not doing things yet. Other people are happy because we see that, but I'm not happy. Other people have exciting experiences, but I don't have exciting experiences. And I get programmed subconsciously to experience life through your reaction. And that's very important to me, and I know how I'm doing based on your reaction and how you introduce me when I speak. And so that doesn't help me, because as I sit down to change my imagination to what I want it to be, I do this in a way that cripples me and takes me deeper into trouble, because I'm not looking at myself, so I don't change myself, and there is no change. What I'm looking for and what I'm programming is a change in your reaction. And when you don't react the way that I have programmed to receive, I have a little crisis. I don't know what to do with that, and it's like nothing is going wrong, nothing works in my life. So if we can take pole vaulters, go through a training exercise just for this. Because to run down with that long pole, put it in the right spot in the ground, fling yourself in the air, and then gracefully fall over the pole without knocking it off, they have to visualize that. Not what it looks like to them. They have to visualize their whole body doing that. That programs their body because they've seen themselves do this. And by seeing themselves do it, they're confident knowing that that is possible. It becomes their default programming. We need to take and adjust the monitor on the outside, the monitor on the inside. We need to superimpose ourselves into that. Get really acquainted with ourselves so that we can see what we're doing and how we're showing up, and see where we succeed, and see where we're frustrated, and see ourselves living the life that everybody else lives. When you see yourself, then you can start to finally believe in yourself. And when you believe in yourself and you're real, you can start to love yourself. And that's where the magic happens. I'm going to call our practitioners up right now. And as we go into prayer, it's an affirmative prayer. And that's where we say yes. Where we agree with our programming, and that we align our programming with what's possible in the universe, what's possible in our world, and what's possible in our minds. So as we go through this, it's important to know that we are in a safe place, that we are loved, we are appreciated, and doggone it, people like us. As we start the prayer, we'll acknowledge the presence of the divine and ourselves in it. Then we'll take a moment to meditate. If you would like a practitioner to affirm the yes and the rightness and the truth of you, please line up in the aisles now so you can come see a practitioner. Let them know who you are and what you'd like to see in your life, what you'd like to see in your mind, how you'd like to show up for yourself in the world. The rest of us will take a moment and we'll visualize ourselves here, and then we'll visualize ourselves through our week and things that we're going to do and what it looks like for us when we do them successfully. Resting into the stillness, I am reminded of the wonder that I experience with you and in these moments that we're together. When we're together physically, when we're together spiritually, and I join with the one. I know that I'm safe and loved for a moment, enough that I can lay down my fears, enough that I'll lay down my ego and my coping mechanisms, enough that I'll lay down my insecurities of where I'm not enough. I don't need those things to be one with the one. And where I'm going, I can't go with those things. And as soon as I let those down and breathe in, I am there at ease with all that is. This power, this first cause of life, flows to me and through me. It flows through you to me and back again. In that power of love, I share that and I focus that on myself. Please come forward if you're ready, and let's just take a moment, all of us, to enjoy the love and magnify that in ourselves. The pureness and joy of that love energy flows through, not in any greater amounts, but pure and more accessible with every open heart. What is really possible for me, I know is possible for us all. That there is a kinder way of being. That there is a more loving, gentle tenderness with myself. That I am protected in every moment. That the divine spirit that shares with me, I can share with everyone I come in contact with. I'm grateful for the love we give. I'm grateful for the love we share. I'm so grateful for our life, for our love, and the law that makes it so. Blessed we are, blessed we will ever be. And together we say, and so it is.